Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Dark Thanks for joining me on another weekend watch list building session. Today is Sunday, December 26th, day after the big man just left, 2021, and we're getting ready to head into the last week of the month. I don't know if you're excited, but I definitely am. I know that there's going to be some big moves this week. Is the Santa Rally going to be here? Will it be this week? Definitely has all the settings to make one a really good year-end run. This is our weekly watch list building session. Typically what we'll do is we'll look for anywhere from 3 to 5 stocks that have some divergence and also have some good fundamental technical analysis. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to switch up the watch list a little bit. I'm going to try to make it way more user focused and a lot easier for people to be able to kind of follow along with what I'm doing. What I mean by that is the chart that you're going to see in front of you is going to be a shareable link included in the description. I'm using standard free tools that everybody using Thinkorswim can do. We're going to be looking at exponential moving averages, simple moving averages, the TTM squeeze, MACD, and RSI. The only additional twist to that is going to be I'm going to be looking for divergences using FlowTrade, but these stocks are technically set up to not even have to worry about the divergence. So if you're not using FlowTrade or you're new to getting trading and you're new to the stream, if it's your first time here, thanks, I really appreciate it. Hopefully we're going to provide you some content that'll help you in your trading journey. And with that free chart setup from Thinkorswim, you can use the same tools that I'm using as far as that's concerned. Also, if this is your first time here, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Turn on notifications, so anytime we put out a video that you get notified about it, right? We're just trying to change production quality. We're trying to get things going a little little differently here in 2022, but we're still going to provide you those plays that just kill. I don't even know the word for it. Let me rewind. We're still looking to try to provide you the same quality in 2022, but with a little bit better production value. Our plays have been going 5 for 5 for weeks and weeks and weeks now. We haven't changed anything up that way. We've just changed some of this YouTube business up a little bit. So with that being said, real quick intro, and then we'll hop into the plays. See you in a second. All right, welcome back. All right, so for those of you that have just never seen the stream before, what you see in front of you is the software from FlowTrade. It is a smart money dart pool and block trade algorithm software that tracks large institutions, hedge funds, and smart money. It's created its own algorithm called the Flow Index Algo, and that's that purple line you see here on my screen. The white bars are price action, and as I go through this, you're going to see some blue and some red lines come across the screen, and what those are is blue lines are dart pool block trades, red lines are regular block trades. Those are important levels where a large influx of capital and transactions have happened. So we like to look at those levels to gauge. I use them as support and resistance. They're very much like pivot lines. Price will come up to it and it'll make a decision at that point whether it wants to go through it and use it as support or reject off of it and come back and make it resistant. So the other thing I wanted to show you was the new chart layout. It's going to be this one right here that you see in front of you. This is using Thinkorswim. This is the daily time frame, and the lines that you see are exponential and simple moving averages. The TTM squeeze, which is very important, it's a free tool that's included in there, so everybody can use that. MACD and RSI. Now, as far as my chart setup goes, I use exponential moving averages for generalized trend direction. So the 8, the 21, and the 34. The 8 is green, the 21 is yellow, and green is 34. Whenever we have those stacked moving averages in a trend, more than likely that trend will continue. And if the squeeze down here releases, more than likely it will release to the side of the trend. Okay. Also, the 50 and the blue 50 simple moving average and the red 200 simple moving average. These are our directional SMAs. These provide longer term support and resistance and usually can give you the trend. So for example, Netflix here, every time it's interacted with those levels, it has found support there and it's continued to move forward. So I'm not getting too much into a teaching lesson here, but I did feel that it was needed to show the chart layout, especially the first time. Going forward, I'm probably just going to do a real quick, maybe a little graphic as I do the intro to showcase what each one is, and then the link so that you can import it into your screen. Okay? With that being said, let's get into our plays, shall we? This week, we're going to be looking at Snow, Etsy, Netflix as our top 3 plays. I'm going to do 5 for the weekend watch list, so if you haven't signed up yet, head over to darkpoolcharts.com and sign up for the weekend watch list. You'll get an additional 2 plays, and we'll go into a little bit more depth about why I've chosen them. I've got SPY down here just to kind of show you the direction. Okay, we're going to hop into it. First off with Snow. What I'll do is I'll go through looking at the divergence first, and then we'll go look at the technical setup, and I'll do this as quickly as possible. Okay, what you see in front of you is FLOWTRADE, the flow index algorithm. We look for when this purple line is separated and diverged from white bar's price action. Typically what that means is that the purple algorithm is smart money. So this is large institutions, this is hedge funds, this is multi-million-dollar purchases. This is retail is basically price action. When we have this divergence, what will happen is price action will gravitate towards the algorithm to complete that divergence. An example of that would be here, where price diverged from the algorithm. Price was heading down, the algorithm was heading up, price gravitated back up towards the algorithm, and this divergence has been played out. Okay, so from this level, price fell down, algo was buying, price followed suit. So currently we've got price trading with the algorithm a little bit. The algo is currently consolidating, and so what we'd like to see is we'd like to see the algo to find support there and continue to move upwards, and we'd like price action to kind of break out of this little falling wedge that it's formed. This is Snow. Snowflake is a cloud-based computing. You know what? I'm going to go over this, and then when I pull up the chart, I'll go into a little bit more about what Snow is. Okay? So we do have a bull flag forming with price action, and we've got a bullishly diverged algorithm. What we'd like to see is price gravitate back up towards that algorithm and complete a bullish uptrend. A little bit longer support here on Snow, right? Longer term support. It's right at a decision-making level. It's coming back into this kind of demand zone that it had created way back here. Let's see if I can draw the line across there. There's a demand zone right here that has turned into a support level. Okay, price came down, filled up its demand, and came back, rallied back up. All right, so I'm still getting used to this, the chart tools here a little bit. But we would look for if price pulls back this level for support before it continues to move up. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some block trades for the last 5 days. Maybe I need to do 7. Let's see what 7 days looks like since we did have a 3-day holiday. Let's go to 10. All right, so in the last 10 days, we had a regular block trade come in on Snow right at this 354.82 level. We're going to go ahead and use that as our overhead resistance. We'll use that as overhead resistance there. Okay, and we had a regular block trade come in at 349.22. Right, that's going to be our support level. See how price came down, touched that block trade, and it held for support. So what we'd like to see happen is that support hold and Snow to go ahead and break out of this falling wedge and continue to move back up to the upside. Looking at Snow on the chart. So what is Snowflake? Oh goodness, 1 second here. All right, much better. I had too many tools on there. So as you can see, Snow is Snowflake Inc. It's a cloud computing based data warehousing company, and it's based out of Montana. Interesting enough, Montana is starting to become very technical, which is interesting. It was founded back in July of 2012 and is publicly launched in October of 2014. 2014, after 2 years in stealth mode. Okay, the company's name was chosen as a tribute to the founder's love for winter sports. It makes sense if you live in Montana, you must like the snow. Previous earnings calls for Q3, they beat on their earnings per share by 163.36%, right? That's just crazy. And their previous earnings was, and their EPS, earnings per share revenue, they beat by 9.25%. Okay. For the October quarter, Snowflake reported a narrower than expected revenue which blew past estimates. Their January quarter guidance for Snow, which is good. Anytime a company can provide January or forward-looking guidance, it's very bullish on a stock. It also came in above expectations. Snow stock has gained, listen to this, 21 or 26% in 2021 as of last week. One issue they do have, however, is how software growth stocks are doing in general. But nearly 2/5 of Fortune 500 companies use Snowflake software in their cloud as they move away from on-premises data warehousing products like Oracle and IBM. So basically what that means is a lot of, in the past, Fortune 500 companies would store all of their data in these big, giant data centers that would take up tons of power, left a huge carbon footprint, ran a lot of electricity through it, and were prone to failure because it was mechanical. So that if there's ever a problem, you'd have to go down and basically flip the switch. So now a lot of companies are moving to a cloud-based system, which is a more regulated data center, right? But it provides you access as if though we were just down the street, okay? So one Snowflake customer this is why I'm really bullish on Snow, is one of their customers is pharma giant Pfizer. Pfizer's using Snowflake tools to forecast product sales and gain insights into distribution of its vaccine. So it's in with some top Fortune 500 companies. It could ride along with Pfizer. It's in cloud computing, which is kind of a nice little tech sector that's starting to grow, and it's got that divergence. So looking at Snow, this is the daily chart. What I'd like to see is stack positive moving averages. Okay, we don't necessarily have those right now. This is what I'm talking about when I say stack moving averages. The 8, 21, 34 is on top of the 50 and on top of the 200. This is a very bullish uptrend. Snowflake's pulled back, rallied up, pulled back again, and it's on its move up. It's a little bit of a 3-bar play going into last week, starting to form what's called a bull flag. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit so we can get a little better look at it. What I'm looking at here is this TTM squeeze is starting to curl over. I don't want to zoom in too much. So this little slingshot effect is going to happen where the histogram is neutral and increasing while price is becoming into a squeeze. If you're not sure what a squeeze is, it is simply when the Keltner channels get inside of the Bollinger Bands. It creates a lot of pressure on stock, the price action, and we'd like for that catch the move when the squeeze releases, because market makers cannot factor in, this is important, market makers can't factor in the level at which the squeeze will release to or how long it will release for. So if we would have got in this squeeze release back here in October when the histogram curled around and the squeeze released, look at that explosive move. As a general rule of thumb, you can get between 8 to 10 periods. So if this squeeze does curl around and release, we can get 8 to 10 periods of price action moving in the direction that the squeeze is fired. We're getting a MACD crossover as well, and RSI is neutral. The MACD is neutral and increasing, which is bullish. Slingshot squeeze is neutral and increasing, which is bullish. Price action is pulling back, and we broke above the 50, and we're starting to get our moving averages stack positive again. I don't know if that's a better way for you to see it. So it would be a rally, a little bit of a pullback, and we would expect to move continuing to the upside. As far as price targets are concerned for Snow, I'm going to be watching. Typically what I'll do is I will give a Fibonacci level from low to high. We rallied up above the 50%, pulled back a little bit. I would target initially the 618 retracement on a break of 355. So if we break 355.31, I'll look to target 367.03 or the nearest support level to that, which looks like it's going to be, why don't we just call it the 360. So our plays for this week, we're going to be looking at the 360 calls for Snowflake. And I should probably pull up an options chain, shouldn't I? Give me one second. Let me pull this up. All right. Welcome back. That took a little bit of time. I didn't realize that I didn't have an options chain pulled up. This is the Snowflake options chain in Thinkorswim. We said that 360s would be a pretty decent move. I'm not exactly sure what the average true range is or how much Snowflake can move in a day. It's probably good to look that information up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add that as a study to this chart. Give me 1 second and I'll be sure I can share this with everyone, okay? 1 second here. We will be right back. All right. Thanks for bearing with me. I know that trying to get the production quality up, trying to do things a little bit differently. Obviously, this is the first video during this format, so I'm going to be a little bit different. Yeah, just getting used to everything. We will get better, I promise you. As usual, we will not accept defeat. Okay, so Snowflake, looking at the 360 calls. Actually, the 366.95 is a 618 retracement. Maybe the 360 to the 370, right? We've got a little bit of resistance. Looks like there is a 618 retracement, trend line, overhead trend line resistance, and there is a supply zone up there. Snow, this is the ATR label I just added to the study. Snow, the daily ATR is $20.70 a day, weekly is $35, monthly is $67. So a $20 move in Snow for this week, taking us from 352 to 370. It's well within Snow's ability to move. The 370 calls have got okay open interest and volume. They are anywhere from 180 to 215. There's definitely the ability to do the 360, 370 vertical. I don't want to get too technical. I like the 370 calls, taking profit on the way up. So let's go ahead and add those to our list. So the 370 calls for Snow for this week are going to be one of our trades. Okay. All right. Let me write that down so that I don't forget to include it. 370 call this week. All right. Moving on. The next stock we're going to look at is Etsy. All right, Etsy. This has got a lot more bullish divergence than Snow does. Can't you tell? Because we've got more separation between our algorithm and our price action line, right? The algo is moving in an uptrend. Price action is coming up to some overhead resistance, but it's also got some pretty significant. I knew as soon as I turned it back on that was going to happen. Okay. Okay, so let me get that out of the way once again. All right, so we're coming up into some overhead resistance. The algorithm pulled back and is trying to break out of. Well, it's actually making lower lows on, or higher lows and higher highs. Price action is trying to break out of this little wedge that it's ran into. It's got a gap that could potentially be filled over here before it makes its next move to the upside. What I'd like to see with Etsy this week is for us to fill this gap, this 232 gap, and start making a move back up in this zone that it was trading in before, up to 242. Price action, if the algorithm can break out of its own little wedge that it's created, right? This is very bullish. If it can break out of its wedge and continue up, I think it will pull price action up with it. Let's go ahead and look at our block trades. Those are the block trades for the last 30 days. I don't feel like those are as important as the block trades in the last 10 days. Maybe even the last 14. All right, looking at the block trades in the last 14 days, price action is currently resting at a dark pool level that runs at 228.09. That's pretty significant resistance. Oh, what did I do there? I'm gonna move that back. Gotta move that back to there. Okay. All right, we have a dark pool block trade that's currently causing some resistance at that 228.09 level. The next upward target would be, I always look at the dark pool level above it as a target. Sometimes it'll act as a magnet. 235. It's a pretty decent target. And then we've got regular block trade support coming in at 219.72. I'll be able to change these colors eventually. So if price does reject and break its upward trend line support that it's created for itself here, if it breaks below this trend line support, we can look to the 220 level as support, and below that we have one additional dark pool level at 217.66 that looks like a lot of orders were filled at because of the consolidation that occurred at that area. all this choppiness around that area. But finally got a nice little launch off of it. So to the upside on the break of 228. Let's just call it from 230. Play the move up to 235 and then 240. As long as the algorithm can continue to moving up with us. Etsy. So Etsy, if you don't know what it is, Etsy is an American e-commerce focused online retailer focusing on handmade or vintage items and craft supplies. These items fall under a wide range of categories including jewelry, clothing, bags, home decor, furniture, toys, art, craft supplies, tools, right? All vintage items must be at least 20 years old. So most of you are over 20, so I guess you're considered vintage too. Just kidding. A previous earnings call for Etsy, they beat their Q3 estimate by 31% on earnings, and their earnings per share, they beat on 2.56%. Etsy is the #1 retailer in its group for internet services and can be moved as a simple play to Amazon. If Amazon's moving, Etsy may move as well too. While opportunities to buy outstanding businesses at significant discounts from the recent highs are rare, right? From 300 down to 210, right? This is a pretty decent buy opportunity, right? Definitely consider Etsy and its online marketplace as one of the top buys for 2022. Over the last 12 months, Etsy's profits margins are up at a superb 21.6%, and the stock has been a massive outperformer. The stock's been a massive outperformer. Wow, words. It skyrocketed nearly 1,600% over the past 5 years, and the platform's generated $3.1 billion in gross merchandise sales. That's up 17.9% over the last year period. This was all more impressive that given nearly a year ago, their gross merchandise sales were up 119%. Right, so they went up 119, and then went up another 18%. That's crazy. Their ecosystem is robust and growing with 96 million active buyers and 7.5 million active sellers. Right, Etsy is huge. That's pretty big. Okay, so I'm super bullish on Etsy going into the next couple weeks. All right. See, this is a nice move. So what had happened is price came up, hit an all-time high, and then it had been selling off, right? Rallied up, rejected the 50, came back down, and found support at the 200 SMA. So that's why I like the 200 SMA. This is kind of like the line in the sand. If the stock breaks down below it and closes below it, it can very easily fall for quite a ways. What we have positive going on for us with Etsy is this. It's got a $13 ATR, which means it'll move about $13 a day. Look at this RSI. It is not oversold, not overbought, kind of rising. MACD is curling around and about to give us a golden crossover. Histogram is neutral and increasing. The TTM squeeze is, what's it doing? Slingshotting around. The histogram is neutral and increasing. Right off of support of the 200 SMA. Trying to get back above the 8 EMA. The first step would be the 21, then the 34, and then I'm going to go ahead and target the 50 SMA on the daily. So 248.95 is that price target that I like for Etsy. As far as Fibonacci, we'll get into Fibonacci at another time, but as far as Fibonacci is concerned, a 382 retracement from a previous high to the low puts us at the 50-day SMA. It also puts us at the 247 level, right, which is pretty close to 250. 250 is a nice psychological number. So I'm going to look at the 250s, 260s, and 270 calls for Etsy for this week just to see which one has the highest open interest and volume. All right, so what did I say? 250, 260, 270s? All right, so for the 240s, right, which we could very easily hit, are pretty reasonable. They're about $2, they're about $2 per contract. The 245s have a little bit more volume and open interest, right? Those are about $1.33. If you're interested in trading the 260s for this week, you can get them for 55 cents. You may want to look a couple weeks out for those on those 250s. They get to be pretty expensive. When I say 250s, 260s, and 270s. All right, so this 270 strike right here, the bid is 54 cents and the ask is $1.05. You don't want to trade those because they're not very liquid. One, they don't have a lot of open interest or volume, and the bid-ask spread is so wide that there's just not liquidity, right? You want nice, tight bid-ask spreads. Let's see if I can find any on this one that's pretty decent. The 250s, 260s, the 260s are all right, I guess. So looking out to January 7th, 260s on Etsy would be pretty decent. They're about $1.40. Yeah, I like those. So let's look at those for this week. And then Etsy 260s, is that what I said? Etsy 260s, 2 weeks out. All right. 260 call, 2 weeks. All right, excuse me. Moving on. Netflix is our last one, and I believe we got everything set up. I won't have to go into too much education, and we can start moving through these really quickly. All right, here we go. Netflix. When I was talking earlier about divergence always playing out, see how the divergence played out here, right? Price action continued to move one direction. Price action continued to sell off, right? The algorithm, they were buying into that. So what happened? Price action gravitated back up towards the algorithm, and that divergence has played out. Currently, we've got the algorithm is trading with price action. And what we'd like to see happen is we'd like to see this algorithm break out of its overhead resistance, right? And continue to pull price action up with it. We'd also like price action to continue to use its uptrending support and break out of its overhead resistance. So this previous high right here, we can get above that level, then I think we can get a larger move to the upside for Netflix. I like to target previous highs. So what is that, 632? At 632 level, let's see what kind of block trades we have to say. I'm going to go ahead and pull these back just to the last 10 days. Right, price action is just resting right here on this dark pool level at 614.21. 614.21. Let's see. One second here. My line's got a little loosey-goosey with it. It's interesting that, see how the algorithm came right up to previous highs and rejected and started coming back down? Little pro tip there. All right, what do you got going on here? I'm not able to grab that line. So there's a dark pool level, sorry, at 614.24. That's going to be our support level. We've also got a regular and a dark pool level that are printed down here on top of each other at 586.73. If we break downside, or if we break this uptrending support, I would target any of the previous lows all the way down to the regular and the dark pool level at 586.73. Okay, we also have a regular block trade that's coming in print at 589.80. I'm just going to call that the 590 level. Price action loved this level here and has been buying ever since. Coming up into resistance. The algo is trading with price action, so if the algo can pull up, it should pull price action up with it. All right, as far as Netflix is concerned, it's an American subscription service and production company. I don't know if y'all know that, but Netflix is a production company. It launched in January or August of 1997 and offers a library of films and television series through distribution deals, as well as its own productions known as Netflix Originals. Those are great. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but some of them are pretty phenomenal. They've got some upcoming earnings. Obviously, their Q4 earnings are scheduled for January 20th. And Netflix is one of the biggest winners of the COVID pandemic, right? This top media business saw its stock price soar over 67% in 2022. It's reported by a growing user base. With people stuck at home, the company experienced pull forward demand last year, right? That's crazy. During the first 9 months of this year, however, Netflix added just 10 million subscribers. The subscriber base was down a little bit, and the stock has significantly trailed the S&P 500 this year. The streaming industry is becoming increasingly crowded with new rivals coming to the market every year, such as Amazon, Apple, Disney, right? They've all come into the market this year. And with the economy slowly coming back, consumers want to enjoy other leisurely activities. They don't want to be inside, but Netflix is still pretty solid. The pandemic did cause major production delays in 2020, leading to a lighter content slate for Netflix at the beginning of this year. So they did have a little bit of a rough beginning of this year. However, it shouldn't surprise us that memberships were down, right? They didn't come out with a lot of originals, which is kind of their bread and butter. Their production management company said that it's largely back up and running, and the company is currently producing local content in 45 countries. So it's not only helping local economies, it's also providing a lot of entertainment. Netflix, definitely one of my top ones to watch, especially with the chart set up for this upcoming weeks. What do we have positive for Netflix? Well, we've got earnings coming up next month. There's usually a rally into earnings, right? We're starting to get our moving averages stack positive again. 1, 2, 3 bullish days, 3-bar play, right? All 3-bar bullish days. We had a MACD crossover, so it went from neutral to positive, and the signal line crossed over the MACD. RSI is kind of neutral, which is decent, so it's in a buy area. Slingshot squeezes getting ready to release. So for Netflix, I see that we're at a at a previous high level from way back in the day. Let me just mark this street for you so you can see it. Right, we're at that 615 level, psychological round number. It was resistance, it was support, it was support. All right, 615 is a nice psychological level. We have a 50% retracement from this high to this low, coming in at the 50%, the 50 SMA. 640, I definitely think we can get to 640. We're going to have a little bit of resistance at around the 630 level. So 630, 640, 655 are all decent strikes for Netflix, just depending on how far out we want to go. Netflix moves about $16 a day. Currently trading at 615, so those 630s, wow, those are pretty expensive for January 7th. So let's go ahead and look at this week's 630s. They're about $3, right? The 640s, about $2. What was it, the 650s, did I say? Yeah, 655s, all the way up here. Those are about 35 to 53 cents. I think that might be a good play if you're just looking to make a look, if you're not trying to swing for the fences and take some base hits. I think the 640s are my favorite. They're anywhere from $1.20 to $1.40. They can definitely get cheaper on any sort of pullback. I think that's pretty reasonable to ask Netflix to move, $30 in a week. Decent open interest, decent volume. I'd have to go in and look at these a little bit closer, but I think I'm going to be looking at these 640s and possibly the 650s. The further out you get from the money, the less of a move you can expect. So those 650 calls at 66 cents, I would be happy if they went to 80 cents or 85, versus the 640s. I would like those to go from $1.40 to about $2, $2.25. I don't have Delta on here. We're not going to get into Delta. So, with that being said, 640s, 650s on Netflix. All right, 640s, 650s on Netflix. You know what I forgot to do? Yes, I did. All right. I've learned so much from this video. Thanks for bearing with me. Again, my name is Darkpool Algo. I'm going to be streaming every morning, Monday through Friday, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Stream for about an hour, hour and a half. We go over the news. We look at the overall market conditions. We look at any sort of stocks that are moving for that day. I also take some questions and answers. I pull up divergences on the FlowTrade algorithm for people that ask, and kind of give just an overall plan for the day. Thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate you joining the stream. I have learned a lot. I'm going to take some notes here real quick so I don't forget about it. And we're just going to strive building our production quality for 2022. Thank you so much. On your way out the door, hit the like button, subscribe. It really does help me out with that YouTube algorithm. And make sure you turn on those notifications. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.